So, isang mapagpalang araw sa inyong lahat. Welcome back to my channel. So, noong nakaraang video, ipinakita ko sa inyo ang tungkol sa unang bahagi ng pananalita. At natalakay din natin doon ang ibig sabihin ng salitang grammar. So, sa video ito, ipakikita ko naman o ituturo ko naman sa inyo kung ano ang pangalawang bahagi ng pananalita, which is the pronoun. So, ano kaya ang kahalagahan ng pronoun sa bahagi ng pananalita? Ano kaya ang itutulong ng pronoun sa ating pakikipagtalastasan sa iba't ibang uri ng tao? Subalit, bago natin talakayin ang tungkol sa pangalawang bahagi ng pananalita, so kung bago ka lang dito sa channel na ito, huwag kaliligtaan i-like, i-subscribe, i-share, at huwag kalilimutan pindutin ang bell button para lagi kang updated sa mga new videos or videos na i-upload ko sa YouTube. At teka lang, bago tayo mag-umpisa sa pinaka-talakayan natin ngayon, gusto ko lang i-shout out si Miss Kimpay Huntelia dahil sa kanyang suporta sa channel na ito. I hope na sana mas marami pang tulong o blessings ang matanggap mo galing sa itaas. God bless and thank you very much. So I think that everyone is excited. So without further ado, let's go! Okay, these are the slides that I have made for you to easily understand what pronoun is. So when we say pronoun, it is a word that takes the place of one or more nouns. It also substitutes to a noun. So when we say pronoun, it takes the place of one or more nouns in a sentence. So instead of using noun in a sentence, we can use pronoun in order to avoid redundancy of using noun in a sentence. Say for instance, in the first example, we will notice that there are redundancy happen. Example, Mary told Paul that Mary received an A on Mary's math test. So there are 3 times where Mary's used in a sentence. So let's see on the second example. Mary told Paul that she received an A on her math test. So as you can see in the second example, it replaces Mary to she. It used the pronoun she and her instead of using Mary in a sentence. So Mary told Paul that she received an A on her math test. Okay. In pronoun, there are different categories or types of pronouns. The first one is the personal pronouns. Okay, when we say personal pronouns, it is a type of pronouns that are the most common kind of pronoun. So when we say most common kind of pronoun, it is the nouns or a type of nouns na palagi nating ginagamit, palagi nating nakikita sa mga pangungusap. It is usually used or commonly used in a sentence. Personal pronouns divided into 3 groups depending on whether they are first person, second person, or third persons. Okay. So as you can see in the examples or in the categories of personal pronouns, you will notice the first person, second person, and third persons, and they will be divided into singular and plural forms. So let's come now for the first person. Ano kaya ang pagkakaiba ng first person into second person and to third person personal pronouns? Okay, first person. Ano bang nakalagay dyan sa first person? So sabi daw, the first person, the person speaking. So yung tao mismo ang nagsasalita. You are the one who speak in the first person. Ako bilang speaker, bilang nagsasalita, pwede kong tawagin first person ako kasi ako mismo ang nagsasalita. Example, in singular form, I, me, my, mine. So, pwede kong sabihin or pwede mo ring sabihin na ikaw mismo ang nagsasalita. Ako, o ikaw. That is singular forms. For plural forms naman, meron tayong we. So, pag sinabi natin we, tayong lahat. Kasi plural eh. So, marami. Us, our, ours. So, those are examples of first person. So, when we say first person, the person speaking, nagsasalita, or ang tao mismo ang nagsasalita. Okay, for the second person naman, sabi daw, the person spoken to. So, ibig sabihin na ang tao nagsasalita para kay. The person spoken to. In singular forms, we have you, your, yours. In plural forms, we have also you, your, and yours. It the same, but it depends upon on how we use the personal pronouns in second person. So in third person, the person or thing being spoken about. So nagsasalita para sa bagay na or for any about. Okay, in singular form, we have he, him, his, she, her, hers, its, or it, and its. Those are singular forms. For plural forms, we have they, them, their, and theirs. So those are the plural forms of third person. So, examples. So, we are going to use the first, second, and third person in one sentence only. So, for first example, you can meet them at my house. So, we use you for second person, and them for third person, and my for first person. So, you can meet them at my house. Diba? So, ginamit natin ang tatlong kinds of person in one sentence. For second example, we should take your umbrella with us. So, we use the pronoun we, your, and us. So, those are examples of personal pronouns that we can commonly use or commonly experience or encounter when we are writing or when we are reading a piece or a sentence. Okay, we are done with the personal pronouns. So let's come now for the reflexive and intensive pronoun. So what is reflexive and intensive pronouns? So when we say reflexive and intensive pronouns are formed by adding self or selves to certain personal pronouns. So they are used to refer to or to emphasize nouns or another pronouns. So these reflexive and intensive pronouns usually used in order to emphasize or mabigyan diin ang pangalan or the other pronouns in the sentence. So, ginagamit ang reflexive or intensive upang bigyang halaga or diin ang pangalan or what we so-called pangalan is a noun
or the other pronouns in a sentence. Say for instance, Jason makes himself a snack before the game. So it is reflexive because himself or the pronoun himself give emphasis to Jason, since Jason is the subject or the antecedent in the sentence. So in the next example, I myself do not like to cook. So it emphasizes I as myself. So next one is some fans could see themselves on the monitor. Some fans. So it use reflexive themselves to emphasize fans. So another one is we ourselves did not have a good video. We. So it use the intensive ourselves or intensive pronoun ourselves to emphasize the subject we. Okay. Take note, class, that reflexive and intensive pronouns use to emphasize the nouns or another pronouns in a sentence. That is why it use some of example of reflexive and intensive pronouns to emphasize or bigyang diin ang mga pangalan, and at the same time some of the pronouns in the sentence, as what I have given examples to you a while ago. Okay, these are some examples of reflexive and intensive pronouns. For singular form, we have myself, yourself, himself, herself, and itself. For plural forms, we have ourselves, themselves, and yourselves. So those are some of the most commonly used reflexive and intensive pronouns in a sentence. So let's come now for the indefinite pronouns. So when we say indefinite pronouns, it is quite often referred to a name, people, or things. Therefore, they usually use or they usually do not have definite antecedent as personal pronouns do. So when we say unnamed people or things, wala siyang pinopoint out o wala siyang particular or specific na person, tao o bagay na pinopoint out. Kaya wala siyang definite antecedent as personal pronouns do. So di katulad ng personal pronouns na meron siyang pinopoint out na uri or klase ng tao, bagay o hayop. Kaya ginagamit ito ng definite antecedents. So for you to understand well kung ano talaga ang definite antecedents, ipaliwanag ko muna sa inyo kung ano ang antecedents. So balikan na lang natin ang indefinite pronouns. So when we say antecedent, it is the noun that the pronoun refers to or replaces. Using pronouns and antecedents correctly helps to clarify meaning. So when we say antecedent, it is a noun. So it is a noun, pangalan, or pronoun na ginagamit sa sentence in order to replace the pronoun. So, pwede natin gamitin ang noun as antecedent in a sentence. So, using pronouns and antecedents correctly helps to clarify meaning. So, pag ginamit natin ang pronouns and antecedent in a sentence, it helps us to clarify the meaning. So, using the antecedent and pronoun in a sentence, we will easily understand what the meaning of a certain sentences. Example, Andrea and Lynn said they enjoyed the fair. So, the antecedents used in a sentence are Andrea and Lynn. So, they are the antecedents used because at what I have said a while ago that antecedent, it is a noun that the pronoun refers. So, the pronoun refer to antecedent. Either the antecedent is singular or plural. So it agrees, or the pronoun agrees to the antecedent whether it is singular or plural. Example, Andrea and Lynn said they enjoyed the fair. So the antecedent or the noun used in the sentence are Andrea and Lynn. So they are, or it consists of two nouns. Therefore, the pronoun used is also plural, they. The next one is the fair made more money than it has in recent years. So the fair is singular, so the antecedent is singular, so therefore the pronoun is also singular. So that is the antecedent. Remember that the antecedent, it is the noun that the pronoun refers. So it is the subject or the noun in the sentence that the pronoun refer. Do you understand? So looking back to the indefinite pronouns. So again, when we say indefinite pronoun, it is quite often referred to unnamed people or things. Therefore, they usually do not have definite antecedent as personal pronouns do. That's what I have said a while ago, that indefinite pronouns doesn't or did not point out specific unnamed people or things. So wala siyang pinupoint out na tao, specific na bagay, o anything. Example, everyone likes a good book. So everyone is an example of indefinite pronouns because it doesn't have or it did not point out some noun in a sentence. Example number 2, at the library meeting, nothing important happened. So wala din siyang pinupoint out na tao, bagay, o pangyayari. Next one is after class, no one was ready for homework. No one is also indefinite pronouns kasi wala siyang pinupoint out na tao o bagay. So those are examples of indefinite pronouns. So here are some of the common indefinite pronouns that we usually experience or we usually encounter in sentences or paragraph. Examples, all, both, few, no one, another, each, many, nothings, any, either, most, others, etc., etc. So those are commonly used or common indefinite pronouns that we encounter or usually encounter in reading and at the same time in writing as sentences. So, let's come now for the demonstrative pronouns. So, ano naman kaya ang pagkakaiba ng demonstrative pronouns sa indefinite pronouns? Kung indefinite pronouns ay walang pinupoint out na specific na tao, ang demonstrative pronouns naman ay used to point out specific person or people, places, or things. So, ang demonstrative pronouns ay nagpo-point out naman ng specific na tao, bagay, lugar. Kaya, ito ay tinawag demonstrative pronouns. So, nagpo-point out ito. Pinapakilala ang specific na uri ng tao, lugar, at pangyayari. Or, bagay. Example, this is my favorite book. So, the used demonstrative pronoun is this. So, it used this or demonstrative pronouns to point out my favorite book. Do you understand? So, this is my favorite book. So, it used demonstrative this to point out my favorite book. Example, or another example, can you also carry this? So, these things. So, pwede bang dalhin to mga bagay na ito? So, pino-point out ang mga bagay na ito. Okay, another example for demonstrative pronouns is we both or both those at the discount store. So those are examples of demonstrative pronouns or used to point out specific people, places, or things. Okay, these are the commonly used demonstrative pronouns. We have this, that, these, and those. Those are the most common demonstrative pronouns. So take note that the pronouns this and this refer to something nearby. So ginagamit ang pronoun na this at this sa malapitan. Samantalang ang that and those refer to some distance. So ginagamit naman ang demonstrative pronouns na that and those kapag ito ay malayuan. Naintindihan? So very easy to understand. Okay, let's come now for the interrogative pronouns. So, ano naman ang pagkakaiba ng interrogative pronouns sa iba't ibang uri ng pronouns? So, when we say interrogative, from the word itself, it asks a question. So, nagtatanong tayo dito. Interrogative. You are interrogating something. Interrogative pronouns. So, interrogative pronouns are used to ask questions. So, we usually use interrogative pronouns if we are going to ask questions. So, napakadali lang kasi interrogative, ginagamit lamang ito pag tayo ay tumatanong. Halimbawa, what did you find out about the author? So, we use what, the interrogative pronoun what, to ask a questions about what did you find out about the author. So, ano kaya ang na-find out mo about the author? So, the next one is who is waiting for your response? So, we use also who or the interrogative pronoun who to ask a question. So another one is whose are these? So we use whose to ask a questions. Okay, those are examples of interrogative pronouns. So napakadali lang intindihin ang interrogative pronouns kasi tumatanong lamang tayo or nagtatanong lamang tayo dito. So these are the most commonly used interrogative pronouns in a sentence. What, which, who, whom, and whose. So those are examples of interrogative pronouns that we use or that we commonly use when we are asking a question to certain people. Do you understand? Okay, thank you very much. I think we have already done with this lesson. So kung kayo ay may mga katanungan about pronoun, maaari lamang magkomento or mag-comment sa susunod kong video upang masagot ko ang mga katanungan nyo about sa pronoun or kung may mga tanong pa kayo about dun sa nauna, sa noun or pronoun, you can free to comment a question on my comment box for you to easily understand what is the importance of pronoun and noun in a sentence or as a person. I think it's all done. Maraming salamat sa panonood at sana ay natulungan kayo at nakapulot kayo ng aral sa video ito. Alam natin na mahirap pag-aralan ang tungkol sa mga grammar, sa parts of speech. Subalit, mas maintindihan natin ito kung bibigyan lamang natin ng oras ang ating pag-aaral tungkol dito. So, sana panoorin niyo pa ang mga susunod kong video kasi nasa pangalawang bahagi pa lamang tayo ng pangungusap, which was the noun and pronoun. So, nakadalawa pa lang tayo. Sa susunod kong video, ipapakita ko naman ang pangatlong uri ng bahagi or bahagi ng pananalita. So, huwag niyong kaliligtaang panoorin kasi marami kayong matutunan sa video ito at sa mga susunod ko pang mga video. Kaya, para mas ma-enlighten kayo at para mas malaman nyo ang mga tungkol sa grammar, sa parts of speech, keep on watching about my videos. So sa mga updated or mga bagong post kong videos about full tutorial sa YouTube, huwag niyong kaligtaang panoorin from the beginning at the end of and until the end of the video. So, maraming salamat sa panonood at sana na-like nyo na, na-subscribe nyo na, and na-share nyo na ang video nito. So, kasi malaking tulong to sa akin. Thank you very much and God bless us all. See you on the next video.